Hey, it's Kristen. I am here again to talk about the step-by-step guide on selling your home. And we've done steps 1 and 2 already. So number 1 was having the realtor come over to the house and, talk to you about what your thoughts and goals are and how quickly you want to sell and that kind of thing. And then the second step would be for the realtor to take that information back and come up with a price. So the third step would be a meeting again with the realtor, so she can tell you, what she came up for a price. She can show you the different comps she used, and again, that process is looking through the MLS, looking at houses that have sold recently or that are on the market now. Maybe a conversation with some of the other realtors to see kind of what's going on. And kind of gauge a price similar to your house in bedrooms, in the same kind of neighborhood, in the same kind of square footage and amenities, that kind of thing. We try to get something as similar as we can. Sometimes it's difficult, but sometimes it's easy to find other homes that have been sold recently. So the realtor will come back to the house and she will sit with you. She'll go over all these comps and then tell you what price she thinks, or maybe a range, and say, I think your house would get between X and Y. And then you can discuss on which you want to pick. And the things that you've discussed before already, like your time frame, are you looking to sell as quickly as possible, or do you have a little bit more time and flexibility? That would also impact on what price you want to pick. So once you come up with a price, you'll talk about timing and how quickly, maybe you have a couple projects you want to finish. There's an option to put the house on the market as coming soon, so you can start to build some interest, but there is definitely a time frame to that situation. Once you list it, it has to be ready to go at a certain time. If that time frame is a little bit more flexible, then you can just kind of wait and see on when you think you want to list it. So once you come up with a price and you've agreed on that, then there's a whole bunch of paperwork to sign. So you have to sign a mandatory real estate disclosure, which just puts it in writing that this realtor is going to work as your selling agent. If you are related, you definitely have to note that, and that's got to be something that's told to all the other realtors that you work with. But it's just a signature on this form to say that you both agree that that's what your role is going to be. There's a lead disclosure form. So this just says, do you know if there's lead in the house? You don't have to have a lead statement, and it's for houses that are a little bit older, but you have to either sign yes or no, I know or I don't know of any lead that's been in the house. And all these papers that are going to get signed will get shared with anyone who's interested in looking at the house, and will be uploaded to the MLS so that the realtors that are assisting buyers can download all that paperwork and share it with them even before they come to the house, so everybody kind of has an idea of some of the specifics that we're looking at. The next couple papers are a little bit more intensive. The right to sell listing agreement is where you're going to write in all the specifics about the house. So you write in the date that the signing is effective. Again, it's very specific on time frame. Once you sign paperwork, it has to be listed within the MLS in a certain amount of time. So that's definitely something you want to have a conversation with your realtor about and work out the timing. You are going to decide a length of time that you want to have the house on the market for. So say 6 months or 9 months or whatever. So you'd put in the beginning date and then the end date. And if the house has not sold by that time, you can rediscuss with your realtor. Do you want to pull it off the market? Do you want to renew with that realtor? Do you want to break ties with that realtor and look for a different realtor? It's completely, there's lots of many choices on there. Hopefully it's not an issue and your house will be sold before you get to that time, but that's in there. Of course, the address of the house and the name of the real estate agent, the name of the seller, and the price that you want to list the house for. Is there other specific terms that would be listed in there? The broker's duties, so this is what you should expect to get from your realtor. Do you want to put it on the MLS, yes or no? And then we'll put in the date that it needs to be listed on the MLS by. You can discuss the compensation that you want to give to the realtor. It's nothing that's ever set in stone, and it's always a conversation to have. And the realtor can suggest to you, this is what we usually get for a price, or but it's a conversation. It is not a, this is our rate. And if there's some language in here about if it ends up getting rented, instead of sold, then what the broker would get for a compensation for that. And then there's always places to write in other provisions, like if there's specific things. You'd also decide on what you're going to pay to another broker. So say like I'm the selling agent and a buyer's agent brings in somebody who is going to buy the house. Well, then it's agreed upon at this time how you're going to share that compensation. We at Hearth and Harbor Realty do a 50-50. Not everybody does that, but we feel it's fair to split the commission in half because we're both doing a lot of work on either side. The realtor will be typed in there what her name is, what the seller's duties are. Like you have to give access to the house. You have to, cooperate if there's somebody who wants to look at it. You are going to talk about how many legal units there are there smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, is there any audio or video recording at the house, and other suggestions. When you're having a showing, you should put away all your valuables and that kind of thing. And then there's some language in here is if you're selling a house in Rhode Island, but you don't live in Rhode Island, and there's some other specific things there. Do you agree to internet and print advertising? Again, lots of places to write in specific things, and then everybody will sign it. And then we will be completed with that paperwork. And then there's one more, and this one is the one that's going to take some time. Now, this last form is the seller disclosure form, and it is not something that has to be filled out while you're both sitting together at the dining room table. You can keep this one and work on it and then give it to the realtor in the next couple days before the house is ready to be listed. But this is where you are going to talk specifics about the house. You're going to try to write down all the information you have to give to the buyers. The year the house was built, the condition of the roof, what kind of heating systems are there buried tanks, or are there tanks in the basement, all that kind of thing. And it goes through every single little bit about the house, all the services, the insulation, the utilities, is there public or private, sewer, septic, municipal information, what's the property tax. A lot of this information, not a lot, but some you can get off of like the town's website. Like and your real estate agent will probably have already gotten this information as part of the pricing of the house. But from the state, you can get like the taxes, you can get the square footage of the house, you can get the square footage of the land, you can get what the replacement cost is, what they think the lot is. You get a rough footprint of the house, what kind of heating systems are in there, and then what the evaluation is. So you can get some of the information online, and some of it's going to be what you know from living there and the records you have kept. If you have not lived there, say that you are selling the home as part of an estate sale, then you'll just note that at the top that you're doing the best to your knowledge of what you remember in the house, and you will write at the top of the sheet, I've not lived here myself. So it's really, you just, you do the best you can. They want to know, is there anything specific in the zoning? Are you in the floodplain? Which you can, we can help you find that out. We have contacts who can look that information up and get that quickly for you. Is there any cemeteries on the property? Is it a farm? Is it condos or units? Do you have a pool? Again, stuff about the smoke detectors. And then we go through all of the parts of the structure. Are there any defects or malfunctions in any of these? And you check yes or no to all of them. And then it goes through all the systems, and you check yes or no. It's included in sale and the age. So things like the security system, dryer, garage door opener, hot tub, jacuzzi, blah, blah, blah. There's like a bunch. So it goes through all those. And then it says, do you know of any of these conditions that exist? Asbestos, endangered species, wood rot, blah, 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 and it goes through quite a few. So again, a yes or no kind of thing. And then there's, again, always places to write lots of comments. And then you are going to sign an initial at the bottom. And then all of these, like I said, will get uploaded. And when you have a buyer and they've had an agreement, part of the agreement is that they have signed all these papers too, and they acknowledge that they've gotten them. So that would be the next step. You'll get all the paperwork together, and then we'll, have a signed contract, and we're ready to get started to work. So we'll talk about what comes forward next, but it's things like making sure the house is, ready for showings, making sure it's ready for pictures. We're gonna hire somebody to come take good photos, put it online. You wanna really be certain on that timing, because once it goes online, if you have a house in say you have a house in a neighborhood somebody's really looking at, they could, as soon as that comes on, they might want to come and look at it right away. So it's certainly something you want to make sure you're ready to go as soon as you start that listing. So that was step number 3. And I hope that that's helpful, and especially all this paperwork. You can look at it online. It's able to look at it, and if that's too much hassle to find it, you certainly can reach out to me, and I could email you some blank copies just so you had an idea as to what was in all that. If you knew you were going to sell and you weren't sure about some of that stuff that's on the disclosure form, you certainly could kind of do some homework ahead of time and get some of those answers, like when the furnace was installed and that kind of thing. That would take some work for me to figure out here at my house. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. If you ever have any questions or need, want to talk through a portion of it, please reach out. And again, if you're thinking about listing your house soon, I think it might be a good time, because the market is still, there's a lot of buyers out there and there's not very many sellers. And I can kind of understand that if you are still in the middle of a pandemic and, you might not be comfortable having people come through your house. There's always ways to do things digitally, virtually, if you really are uncomfortable with it. The way that I did it earlier in the summer was that we only scheduled appointment times every half an hour, I think we did, so that we would only have one buyer and their real estate agent walking through the house at a time, so that there wasn't ever a group of people around, and we all were able to keep our space. So it worked out very well. And of course, we'll always do cleaning and everything before and after. But I think that now might be a good time. There is an election coming, so it might mean things are going to slow down a little bit, which is very normal around an election. And then things usually tick up at the beginning of the year. And I'm wondering if maybe next spring we'll have an even increase in tick, if hopefully we've gotten some good news. Maybe there's a vaccine, or maybe there's something, and that, this pandemic is winding its way down. I hope by the spring, there might be a significant uptake in houses coming onto the market. So if you're thinking that you might be ready sometime in the next, couple months, it might be worth thinking, to do it sooner rather than later, so you can kind of get ahead of those other people that will put their houses, the group of people who put their houses on the market early next year. So anyway, that's just my 2 thoughts. I thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next week as we go through step 4. Have a good day. Bye.